Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Well, while we were distracted by viruses and lockdowns and all of the terrible things that are going on in the world today, HSLDA sent a newsletter out to its members and subscribers that I found to be extremely troubling. But before we get on to what they sent us, I want to first look at an article that was written by Business Insider on September 3rd, 2015, and it's entitled, "There's a New Path to Harvard and It's Not in a Classroom." And we'll just read the very beginning. 18-year-old Claire Dixon is entering into Harvard College this fall. What got her into the most famous school in the world? One with a record low 5.3% acceptance rate? Homeschooling, she tells Boston Magazine. And then down here, what we're going to find is that it says, while homeschoolers might still live on the margins of the U.S. education system, they only make up 3.4% of America's student body. The leading research suggests the education they receive is second to none. Now, down here, this is really important. Schools such as Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, okay, pay attention to that, Harvard, Stanford, and Duke University all actively recruit homeschoolers, Barry said. So let's just look at that again. Harvard, now this was 5 years ago, it was written, Harvard actively recruits homeschoolers. All right, so we saw that. So what we were given by the HSLDA today is that there is a Harvard summit to discuss regulating homeschooling. That's right, folks. We're going back to talking about the regulation of homeschooling by people of whose business it doesn't belong to them. It's none of their business. None. Not to mention the fact that not 5 years ago, they were talking about recruiting homeschoolers. But here we are, Harvard Summit to discuss regulating homeschooling, and I am calling it the Anti-Homeschooling Summit. So let's just read a little bit. Now, again, I want to remind you that this is the article that was written by HSLDA. There is a link in this article that will take you to the website of Harvard to tell you more about it, but I'm just going to stick to this one for now. Let's just read what it says here. The Homeschooling Summit Problems, Politics, and Prospects for Reform is being billed as a means of bringing together leaders in education and child welfare policy to discuss child rights and homeschooling. Now let's look at the people who are going to be involved in this. There we go. And by the way, my neighbor's dog will not stop barking, so I hope that it's not too distracting. But anyway, first, we have Dr. Rachel Coleman, founder of the Coalition for Responsible Home Education. Yep, her again, that group again. The group that I have mentioned in several videos, all of them which pertain to interviews that are bashing homeschooling, that are trying to get more regulation on homeschooling, and in some cases are trying to get it outright banned. Yet, somehow, this small but vocal group keeps being given relevance, and they're invited constantly to speak with the media, to talk with different now colleges, and I'm truly puzzled as to how they're gaining this clout. I cannot help but wonder if they're possibly being funded by someone. I don't have any proof of that, but I'm just wondering, how is it that they are gaining such a huge following? Although maybe maybe I shouldn't be too curious about that, because let's be honest, the entire world right now is leaning more and more and more towards tyranny, towards the removal of freedoms, towards the removal of parental rights. So maybe that's really, unfortunately, the reason that they're being given all of this attention is because they are saying, unfortunately, what a lot of very unhappy but dictatorial people feel. So anyway, it just says she is expected to reiterate her organization's views that homeschooling must be more firmly regulated by the government. Now, Samantha Field, it does not say it here, but I have seen before that she was a member for the Coalition of Responsible Home Education, and it doesn't say that here. But anyway, it says, author of Meet HSLDA, the most powerful religious right lobby you've never heard of. And let's go down to Carmen Longoria Green. Now, I've never heard of her, but it says that she is litigation counsel for Americans United for Separation of Church and State. She describes the current homeschool environment as massively deregulated, which is not true, and suggests that states should set up a process where homeschooled students could petition a judge to force their parents to send them to public school. That's right, you heard that correctly. Such a process is necessary, she told the Washington Post, because it's unreasonable to expect children to be their own advocates. You need a forum where an outside person looks at the situation and says, is this person meeting educational outcomes? Well, you know what? We could probably say that for the public school system, because I'm willing to bet that a large number of the kids in the public school system are not meeting the educational outcomes that she is probably expecting. Let's move on to Dr. Chelsea McCracken, who asserted in 2018 that research on homeschooled students' academic performance has been hampered by the lack of data collected on homeschooled students in most states. Next, we have Dr. Barbara Knox, who worked at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine when she voluntarily resigned while under investigation for alleged unprofessional acts, including intimidation of her colleagues. Sounds like a nice lady. She currently works with the Alaska Child Abuse Response and Evaluation Services, a department charged with making medical determinations about whether a child has been abused or not. She is a leader in the field of pediatric child abuse medicine, a specialty that the Parental Rights Foundation contends can lead to doctors seeing child abuse lurking behind every injury. Next, we have James Dwyer. Some of you may have heard of him already. He is a law professor at the College of William and Mary. He is the professor famous for claiming that the reason parent-child relationships exist is because the state confers legal parenthood. In his 1994 Law Review article, Parents, Religion, and Children's Welfare, Debunking the Doctrine of Parents' Rights, Dwyer argued that the claim that parents should have child-rearing rights rather than simply being permitted to perform parental duties and to make certain decisions on a child's behalf in accordance with the child's rights is inconsistent with principles deeply embedded in our law and morality. I have a feeling that our forefathers would not agree with his statist point of view. And lastly, we have Professor Robert Reich, whose views on homeschooling can be best summed up by the title of his 2015 editorial in the New York Times, More Oversight is Needed. Now, what it goes on to say down here is that this is an invitation-only event, and HSLDA said that they would love to speak at it, but unfortunately they cannot because they have not been invited. And it's not surprising considering that they only have people speaking who are saying exactly what they want to hear. They're not interested in debate. They're not interested in the truth. They just want to bash homeschooling, as a lot of these groups, a lot of these individuals love to do. And I just want to point out that I'm really suspicious over whether some of these people truly care about kids. I know, especially with CRHE, what I've found is that it seems that they have a personal vendetta against homeschooling. Not just homeschooling in general, but, they don't like parental rights. They have a vendetta against religion. They have a vendetta against freedom in general. And this should be really concerning. And it's about time that we homeschooling parents stop just looking at groups and people like this and just shaking our heads and complaining about them. Because the reason that they got where they are is because they are vocal, because they are making people, or they are letting people hear their opinions. And look at all of the attention that they have now. They're on Fox News bashing homeschooling. They're on Playboy bashing homeschooling and calling homeschoolers Christian white supremacists. They were interviewed on NPR. We as homeschooling parents, we as homeschooling families, or any homeschooling advocates, we need to start speaking up. And I'm not saying that we should be rude. I'm not saying that we should be obnoxious. But what we do need to do is we need to start letting our side of the story be told, because people are not hearing that. Too many of us are afraid to rock the boat. But you know what? These are our kids. These are our families that they are messing with. And it's about time that it stops. Anyway, I just want to read one more thing here. It says the summit is being organized by Dwyer and Professor Elizabeth Bartholet, I don't know how to say that, in her recent article in the Arizona Law Review, Homeschooling, Parent Parent rights absolutism versus child rights to education and protection. She recommends a presumptive ban on homeschooling. That's right, you heard that right. With the burden on parents to demonstrate justification for permission to homeschool. Yeah, she thinks that we need permission to homeschool our own children. So, since this lineup is so concerned about what they say are people who homeschool just to cover up abuse, I just want to end this video with just some screenshots of maybe 5 articles that I found within like a 1-minute period of searching. And you could easily do this as well, because it's about time that we take the spotlight off of homeschooling and put it where it belongs. Cave Creek Elementary School teacher arrested for child luring. Teacher at Midlands High School charged for inappropriately touching student. Former St. George Elementary School counselor arrested for sex crimes with student. Police continue investigation of school bus driver. Yeah, this is someone, it says that parents came forward to report a former school bus driver had made inappropriate comments and advances towards children. So, while we have these anti-homeschooling summits going on at Harvard and no actual balanced conversation going on about it, we have some really fringe extremists who are bound and determined to take away our freedoms. In the meantime, they are completely ignoring what is actually going on in the public school system that they love and support so much. Parents, it's time to speak up. We cannot let this happen anymore. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disabled my comments. Actually, right now they're on again. It's weird, probably because there are so many people homeschooling. So you might be able to leave a comment. Somehow I doubt it. Anyway, if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.